The eclipse is over and we are back.
Ah,
Sorry.
thank God. Yeah, sorry about Thursday. We were so busy preparing for the eclipse that we couldn't make it.
That was it. That or there was nothing going on and we were both kind of actually busy, so we decided not to do a show, which we thought would be okay. We're kind of in a lull, a dead period before the qualifiers are happening. I guess they're next week, right? But some of you were
Yeah,
mad at
yeah,
us.
literally 10 days away right now.
Some of you were mad at us for not doing a show, so we apologize. We should tell you, this is US Fan TV. I am Pat. He is Kyle Martino.
That'll work.
Or just Chris, one of those. We talk about soccer as it relates to the United States of America. That means we have not discussed the order of which we're going to discuss things tonight, but I think we should start with, we're going to talk about Christian Pulisic, don't worry, because we found that when we talk about Christian Pulisic on this show, lots of you watch. But just his name alone in the title, lots more of you watch than other shows. But we are going to talk about Lynden Gooch, who had himself a game today in the League Cup, which I still don't understand why the League Cup exists. But if it has to exist, and I don't even know what the sponsor of the League Cup is this year, so I'm going to call it the League Cup, but it's probably like the Nando's Cup or something like that. But Lynden Gooch had a goal and an assist today, and I didn't see the match, but I saw the highlights, and he looked good. So, I mean, he can't possibly be in play for next week yet, can he? But it's still
No,
good.
no, no. There's no way. But yeah, I mean, this is certainly good news. We want to see our young guys challenging for more stuff. So it's cool to see it happen. It sucks that after they, were relegated, he's still not a league starter yet. But I mean, at the same time, you have to say the season just started, so there is time for change. I mean, he started last year in the Premiership as a league starter and promptly lost his spot. So anything that's seeing him play well, I think bodes well for him getting more opportunities in the future. And we want to see our young guys playing and succeeding because we need somebody to start challenging for stuff. One of the reasons we can so easily predict most of our 23 for next summer, assuming all goes well in the next 15 days, is that there aren't a lot of guys kind of pushing to get into that lineup. And, other than now, you can say a year and a half ago, who the hell knew that Christian Pulisic was going to go just burst onto the scene and become like the biggest thing in Germany and the US. But there are certainly opportunities. I mean, hey, if Gooch, if Hyndman, if somebody like that had a huge season this year, yeah, they're going to start getting looks. But and then they start entering the talk of, can they make the plane for Russia? But yeah, it's way too early to suggest anything soon. I think it's too early even to suggest he might be playing in October. Now, granted, if we got 2 wins versus Costa Rica on the 1st and at Honduras on the 5th, you could see maybe some changes ahead of those last qualifiers, because then you'll start looking at, we've got a little more breathing room. Maybe Bruce doesn't play it as safe. But I think for the time being, you can pretty well predict who's going to be there, as we did, whatever it was, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now. With the exception of, due to injury, you'll see a few new faces, but I think it'll be a pretty standard team.
Yeah, I think there are 5 to 6, maybe 8 spots, as we kind of discovered. And this is, of course, like you said, injuries could be playing a big factor in that. But there are 5 or 6, maybe 8 spots where a guy like Lynden Gooch or Emerson Hyndman, who, if they have a great season, they play themselves in, and maybe DeMarcus Beasley or Graham Zusi or somebody like that doesn't make the cut then. But I don't know. It's early, but it kind of reminded me of, another American who was in the championship after a tough relegation season last season in the northeast of England and had himself a nice season in DeAndre Yedlin. So hopefully Lynden Gooch has himself a good season and gets back on the radar, which begs the question, what would it take for you to actually wear a jersey that says Gooch on the back. I mean, he would have to be really good. You're essentially writing tank on your back. It's
what's really funny good. Is he could be our second Gooch to have played for the U.S. You know,
well, at least with Onyewu, you didn't have to have
one
that
was a nickname, jersey. But yeah. But funny that why that you know, there's never been a Combs to play for the U.S. But yeah, here we might have two Gooches. No, I will agree, Christian, that I think you're right about McKennie probably doesn't have a shot at the World Cup right now. Now, if he has an incredible season, again, he's another one who, if he suddenly plays himself into a starting spot at Schalke, plays all season, looks awesome, then I think we're changing our tune. But yeah, you're right. There aren't a lot of spots available. There aren't a lot of chances to impress Bruce at this point. You know, you have to have a stellar season if you aren't already on that plane. The one thing, though, Vianney, you say that, like, you know, Ariola's gotten more playing time than Gooch, even though Gooch is better. I'm not willing to say Gooch is better yet. Maybe Gooch has a higher upside, but kind of like when we talked with Bobby a few weeks ago, sometimes it's that you get the opportunities. You know, Gooch got to go to England and play. Ariola didn't have that opportunity. So, I mean, yeah, he went to Mexico, but, you know, he didn't go to a league or a place that could get him to a league that had as much cachet as Lynden Gooch did. So, you know, until I've seen him play for the U.S. and really, you know, stand out in international play, I'm not willing to say he's better. Maybe I'm not going to say he's not more talented. Maybe he is, but until I've seen him actually play against international opposition, I'm not willing to say that he's better than Ariola.
But at least he's not hurt and buried on the bench off the radar.
There is that. Yeah.
So Saturday, I made a wise choice. As many of you know, we are Arsenal fans, and I had to decide. I couldn't sit there and watch 2 straight games. So I decided I'm watching Dortmund, and I'm going to monitor Arsenal on my phone. And I believe I made the right choice there because Christian Pulisic had a hell of a game. And again, a goal and an assist. And Arsenal was terrible, and we don't even need to talk about them.
I took my kids to the zoo, my kids and my girlfriend and her kids, and had a pretty awesome hot chicken sandwich.
That's great.
Like the first time I've had a hot chicken that tasted pretty close to real hot chicken outside of Nashville.
You know, the only good thing about Arsenal getting
welcome to Soccer and Food.
Arsenal getting it's our other podcast, Fried Chicken Fan TV.
I'm going to a fried chicken cooking class this weekend. Even though I totally know how to make fried chicken, I'm just going to see if I can learn anything new. For those of you who don't know, fried chicken is next to soccer, or maybe tied with soccer, as like my first love. It may actually surpass soccer. I got to say, I love fried chicken.
There it is, right there. I guess the only benefit to Arsenal losing was that Jeff Cameron was the benefactor of that. So, of course, Stoke won that match, and it was a shutout. So good for you, Jeff. But back to the earlier match, the Bundesliga match, Dortmund 3. It was Wolfsburg, right? Yeah, Wolfsburg's nothing. Pulisic with the goal, the first goal, and then the assist. Just a ridiculous ball to Aubameyang on the third goal. There was somebody on Twitter, and I retweeted it because, you know, that's what we do when there's strong opinions on the U.S. A German girl named Sandra, but not our Sandra. She's not ours. She's a different one. She said that Pulisic is better than Dembele. I
don't know that I would say it overall, but yeah. Man, he is looking good. And if Dembele really does leave, I don't think they have to look to a new replacement. I don't think they have to go sign someone new. I think they just slot him right in there, which, unless he gets hurt, awesome for us. Awesome for him.
Yeah. It's I think after the first 2 matches, it's clear that we probably don't need to worry about the new manager at Dortmund, Peter Bosz,
Yeah,
having
yeah.
any questions about Pulisic, or maybe, taking him away from the 11, because even if Dembele stays, because everybody's holding Barcelona over a barrel because they know exactly how much Barcelona has to spend, which is good for them. Even if they stay, even if he stays, I think Pulisic's going to play a even bigger role than he did last year. I mean, 2 games, different competitions, but 2 games, 2 goals and an assist, looking like the best player on the field at times. Yeah, he made the Bundesliga match team of the week right out of the gate. He's 18 and he's an American, and you just keep waiting for. I mean, are we overhyping him too much? Is there
Nope.
something bad going to happen? But no, every time we think maybe we should settle down, he does something else.
The only bad thing is he's our one and only hope right now.
Yeah.
So
right.
yeah, the problem. I mean, like Messi goes down for Argentina, and for all the people who are going to watch this later, I'm not calling him Messi. I'm just saying, like, if you look at like someone who is just vastly better than everyone else that he's competing against or playing alongside right now, for his national team, Messi goes down, they still have like gobs of guys who can come in and be like amongst the best in the world. I mean, they don't even take some guys who would be the greatest player the U.S. has ever produced. We have, what is it, Falden Dempsey right now? If Pulisic doesn't play, it's
as far as who our second best player is,
like if he gets hurt, who do we put
there?
Who do we put his responsibilities on? We don't have anybody to fall back to. We go back to the team we were before he came out, which, hey, on our day can be all right, but not exactly our day, and on someone else's day, and we get throttled like we did against, speaking of Argentina.
And even when the other team's going to throw everything they have at Pulisic defensively, look at what Mexico did at Azteca, and they mostly shut him out of the game until he did break free at the end and nearly scored. You're still forcing 2 defenders essentially to both physically and mentally focus on one player the entire game. And if we do find somebody else, I don't know, Darlington Nagbe or somebody else who can have himself a game alongside this kid, then, he'll have less attention on him, and hopefully that benefits him too. So even when, Pulisic is not having his best game, he's still out there and he's still attracting attention from the defense, and that's a good thing. So it's like you said, though, we're resting. I mean, we never had anybody this good. So it's weird. It's I guess the closest thing is probably when we threw it all on Landon's shoulders, similar position, similar player, but
yeah.
Christian's clearly better. And it's,
I think maybe the big difference is that he seems to have the right head for what he's taking on.
Yeah.
Like Donovan struggled in Germany, not because he wasn't good enough, but because it all got to him. He struggled carrying kind of that mantle of being the embodiment of U.S. soccer because it got to him. It got to his head. He had to take that sabbatical because it got to his head. Nothing seems to get to Pulisic that way, and I think that will, even if, say, he wasn't more talented or a superior player to Donovan long term, I still think he probably ends up the better player because he seems to have the right head for it. Now, there are lots of things that can get in the way, injuries, whatever, but I think you have to, if you project for the future, no, he surpasses Donovan, I think, easily. It's because in the end, he seems to be more capable of it psychologically.
He's got Donovan's
Christian,
level or higher, and Donovan's media savviness or better, with Michael Bradley's focus and intensity on the field. It's like you've got all those things in one player, and he's 18, and it seems too good to be true, and it seems like the bubble's going to burst, and maybe it will, but every day goes by, every match goes by, and it's more and more likely that we have a world-class superstar level player, like maybe a kid who could be top 10 in the world at his peak or even better. It doesn't seem impossible, and that seemed impossible for a long time with any American. And I always figured if it were ever to happen, it would be somebody who grew up in Germany with an American dad or something like that we could call American. But it's a person from Pennsylvania. It's a guy who grew up here and cut his teeth here before he went to Germany. And I mean, I don't know what else to say. We do this every week or two with him, where we're like
yeah.
amazed, but it's
like, holy shit, it happened again.
It keeps happening.
Yeah, it happened again.
Maybe we repurpose that.
It happened again.
We're repurposing that song. Yeah.
Yeah. Christian, I totally agree with you. Yeah. Argentina's a mess without Messi. Part of that is because I tweeted the other day, I think from the USfanTV handle, after Pulisic had his game, that imagine if we could just have another one or two guys who could play really on his level with him before we become Argentina. Before Argentina, Holland, Spain for years, France most of the time, where they have incredible players, but they have such a hard time playing together because all their egos make them think they're gods. Mexico's another fine example. England, all these countries where they have some great players that they produce, but because they're so hyped up, they all think they should be the star. And Argentina has one game plan, which is either give it to Messi or we all can't decide what the hell we want to do, because each one of us wants to be the greatest player in the world, and each one of us might have a claim to it if we weren't playing alongside possibly the greatest guy to ever touch a ball.
Yeah.
They're a mess without him. Sometimes they're a mess with him, because if it's not if he's not dribbling through three guys who all have him triangled in, and he just goes boop, 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 and dances around them. If you can manage to kind of fence him off, you can make them suddenly not know what to do.
So here's the true test.
Anyway, that's off.
If he's a global superstar, here's the true test. So those of you who either play or have kids who play, whenever my son's in a tournament, there's these booths that set up, and they're selling what are clearly knockoff jerseys. He's got a tournament this Saturday. I wonder if we're going to see a Pulisic Dortmund knockoff jersey alongside the Messis, and probably they probably already have Neymar for PSG and Ronaldo and those sorts of players. I wonder if we're going to see. I wonder if the demand is there for the Pulisic Dortmund jersey, because I think it might be at this point. So.
I was at a tournament for my girlfriend's daughter. I don't know, a few months ago. They had a stand. They were selling real Pulisic US jerseys.
That's fancy if you get the real ones.
Yeah,
I mean, these don't have misspellings, but one. If it's Adidas,
I walked close enough to check. It was proper lettering and numbering and everything.
Yeah, that's so. I mean, if it's there, I'm going to get hit up for it. I can tell you that. We won't be leaving the tournament without the Pulisic jersey.
And you are a mark.
Yeah. But now it just transfers to my kids. I don't do it for
triple
myself.
The price.
No, these are you get shorts.
Of course I'll buy it.
See, the thing with kids is they spill on their jerseys and stuff like that. So I don't really want to buy. My son has a Pulisic US jersey that's authentic, but not authentic, but replica authentic, officially licensed at least. His other jerseys, I tend to get him a 2-stripe Adidas jersey and stuff like that, because he destroys them. He's a child. So if they do have the knockoff Dortmund jersey, I am maybe with the upside down cat or something like that. I'll get him this weekend. I'll throw it up on the show if I do get it. But we have to keep this train moving, people.
Yeah.
Julian, where are you?
From one extreme in Germany to the other.
Apparently, our guy Julian Green is on the way out at Stuttgart, if you believe the reports. So
things didn't go that well for him there last season, and they're not starting well now. We were hoping when he dropped down a league that he was going to end up getting some playing time, and this would bode well for him. And instead, it kind of didn't do any of that. So again, if it gets him finally some playing time, good. But yeah, you don't like seeing guys continually moving teams, because you don't set down roots with the team. The coach doesn't really become your fan, so he doesn't make the call to put you in at the most opportune time so you can succeed, and it just kind of snowballs.
Yeah. First of all, Sandra, I do love that Champions League Dortmund jersey. I think it's better than the Bundesliga home. So that might be the one I get, if I do get one. But as far as Julian Green goes, sure glad we gave up that World Cup roster spot, huh?
Yeah. Of course.
Landon sitting at home, and although you could argue that maybe Wando took a spot.
I would still put it on the guy who didn't score in that game.
Yeah, at least Julian did.
As the one who shouldn't have been there.
And it's worth a shot with people like that. And if you've got somebody who we were led to believe was about to break through at Dortmund at Bayern Munich at the time, then it's obviously worth a shot. But it's somebody asked a minute ago, is it too soon to call him a bust?
Yes.
Yeah, he might be. He's still very young.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's what, 23?
Something like that.
22. I don't remember exactly, but because what was he, 19 in the last World Cup? So he'd be probably 22-ish right now. I can't remember, but so yeah, he's still too young. He is, however, in that that kind of block of time where you got to get a starting position somewhere, or you get passed up, and that's sort of, for a lot of guys, that is what happens. You have that window kind of like maybe 19 to 22, 23, maybe 24 at the latest, where if you haven't made a starting spot somewhere, there's somebody else coming up behind you. And either, they've got something going for them. Coach likes them better. They're just younger, so they think they have more growth potential. And suddenly you're getting passed, whether they're better than you or not. And then you're just not getting picked, and then you lose your options. Maybe in that case, I think you can look at Freddie Adu, where he had plenty of potential. He has plenty of skill, but he can't find a team because he just made bad choices or didn't respect what he had to do when he was younger. My feeling was he never, whatever. I won't get into why I kind of feel like he failed, but the problem becomes after a certain point in time, if you haven't grabbed a starting spot, you're just never going to get one. And so, yeah, Julian in the next probably year to 18 months, I think, has to find a spot somewhere, or yeah, he probably goes into the pile of could have beens.
Yeah, I'm not ready to call him a bust yet, but he's obviously not in the right situation. But if his next situation is a bad one too, then he probably ends up being that way. People were bringing up Dempsey being like 23 or 24 before he broke through with the Revs. Yeah, I mean, it happens, but that's, I think, maybe more common for an American-born player, or I guess Julian was technically born in Tampa, but he was raised in Germany, so he went up through the German system. With our guys going to college and stuff like that, it sometimes takes a little bit longer. But I don't know. Is there any indication with him? And I don't want to speculate about this, but is there any kind of real indication that maybe is he like a problem in training, or is he a head case or anything like that we've ever heard?
Nothing I've heard.
Seems like
but
a nice guy,
I mean,
but
yeah.
Is there some reasons that coaches continually go away from him? You get it at Bayern because there's, they've got everybody. They don't need Julian Green
because they can buy everyone that they don't already have.
Right, but you don't. At Stuttgart, I expected more from him, I think. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully, wherever he lands next, if he does leave, is the right fit, and he gets that thing back on track, because he does seem like a nice dude. His dad seems like a decent dude. I follow him on Twitter. You never know, but they seem like good people. So wish him well.
Because I seem like a decent guy on Twitter.
Not really.
I don't.
Real quick before we go, we have some injuries to talk about, especially on our back line ahead of. I think probably Thursday we'll start really talking about the qualifiers.
Yep.
But John Brooks is out, definitely out.
Yeah.
And then Omar and Yedlin are. Omar's probably not, and Yedlin probably
most
is.
likely out. I'm guessing. My prediction is that Yedlin will get called into camp, but I don't know that he'll get to play. I mean, it may depend on, he's back to training, so it may depend on how well he's training. On the one hand, I could see where Bruce would run him out just because it has been so long since he played with the team. Bruce may want to see him out there. But unless he's, 100% close to it and everything's looking good and feeling good, I don't know that Bruce is going to chance him against Costa Rica when this is a must-win game. I mean, you can say technically it's not, but to me, it's a home game against one of the other teams we're competing for to make sure we finish in the top 3. This is a must-win game. So you don't want to screw around here. I'm wondering somewhat, like I'm predicting Tim Ream's going to get called in because I don't think Omar will get it. He could be back by then, but I don't think he'll be back to full training by then. It's a back injury, I believe. I can't think of exactly what it is offhand right now, but he's supposed to be back to training before he would get sent to the U.S. So maybe he'll get called in to be evaluated, but I don't see him playing in any way. I don't think he'll be fully back to game strength. Yedlin at least has a week of training already, but you're still looking at he's not going to play, I would assume, this weekend for Newcastle. So he's got no games that he's played at this point, but it hasn't stopped Bruce at times from calling people up. I mean, if you look at Villafana really isn't getting a lot of playing time right now. So it's not, although he wasn't necessarily getting some towards the end of last season, and he was still getting called up to the U.S. So a lot of our back line right now is a question mark. I wonder if, because of the lack of options, if Bruce might go like Beasler and Ream and Cameron in a back 3, and then either move Villafana into some kind of wing back role, or maybe let that be Fabian, and maybe do the same thing with DeAndre, so they aren't covering perhaps as much territory. But whatever, we can get into this on Thursday when we really kind of name our 23. I mean, we sort of did that last week, I think it was, maybe the week before. Might have been Thursday the week before, I can't remember. So we'll discuss this more then. But I do see some changes. Some changes are going to happen because of the defense, but I see some possible formation changes happening because of the players who most likely will be there.
On one hand, I don't think Bruce seems to be more conservative with his home qualifying matches. I think he thinks that we have the talent to beat a Costa Rica at home if we play basic formation. But on the other hand, it does seem like the if you're viewing it as what players do you have and where do they fit, it does seem like a 3-5-2 or something like that would be better. So we'll see, but I don't know. I feel decent, but I think I talked about this with, maybe it was TJ Sala. You can tell me if it was, but I think he mentioned this and I kind of agreed. Brooks being out doesn't make me all that nervous. Brooks being out and Omar being out makes me a little nervous, but Brooks had been so either great or shaky that if he was even slightly hurt, I would kind of want him to stay away. Obviously he's out for sure. And that's not the worst thing, except that if we don't have Omar, then we're down to maybe 3 in the back or something like that. And Cameron in the middle, but thank God Jeff Cameron's there for now. So, right. He's got to get,
you say that and then watch him, get injured this weekend. I agree about the Brooks thing. But it does start to make our back line suddenly our whole defense really a question mark. And you have to look at how much depth do we really have? Who can we turn to? But to me, I was just really hoping that this was going to be a shot at seeing our best 11 and potential World Cup lineup all in action together, because really we haven't seen it since. I mean, you to some extent you could say ever, because Pulisic wasn't truly a part of everything, like in the Copa America. Well, at least he wasn't. He wasn't the player we have now. He was a hot shot up and comer. He just made the squad. We didn't know yet what we had. We didn't know how he fit in yet. We hadn't seen what he could do. Without Cameron in November, we saw kind of what happened. I'd like to see what we would project to be our best 11 out there.
People are bringing up Timmy Chandler's name.
I kind of wonder if he's not going to get called up. I expect he will, but we can talk about this on Thursday.
Real quick on him. Here's the thing with him. You would say that maybe he was completely off the radar, but if you remember when Bruce got the job, he met with 5 guys playing in the Bundesliga. Chandler was one of them. So, and I think he didn't meet with Julian Green, if I remember right, but he did meet with Timmy Chandler. So, we haven't seen him since. He tried to bring him in, remember? And then Timmy Chandler got hurt. We all made fun of the fact that maybe he was not really hurt. But so yeah, I would like to see I would like to see him play for us one more time, as hard as I was on him after Costa Rica. I'd like to see him play for us one more time, and I'd like to see if he drags ass for Bruce too, or if that was just a Jurgen thing. So, because he's very good in the Bundesliga at times. So I'd like to see. We'll see. We'll talk about that more on Thursday. All right.
Yeah, Joshua, I like that. He has an upcoming phantom injury and won't be able to make it.
If he does that shit again, then he needs to be done.
Oh yeah, then he's just axed. Yeah.
All right. This is USFanTV. The website's USFanTV.com. We have Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and they are all for your convenience. USFanTV. We don't like Snapchat, and we are on Craigslist, but you have to know where to look. It's in a very, very special spot. We have YouTube, but you know that because you're watching. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and tell all your friends to do the same, because we like when you subscribe because it makes us happy. I don't know why it does. That shouldn't lead to our happiness, but it does. Chris, do you have any final words?
You know how we feel about Wando, and you're done.
All right, we'll see you Thursday night. We're going to do a great big preview of the upcoming qualifiers. Then you are done.